yesterday. Race analysis here today, Phil. We're going to go 100 laps with a break at or near lap 50, depending on how cautions fall. A couple of tires in the pit box. Tire strategy could be an issue here today.
Yeah, I think without a doubt. I was talking to Matt Ross, again, Williams Sawalsh's crew chief this morning, and he said you really have to take care of those left side tires. We're only going to allow these teams to change 2 tires, right side tires, on that break. Remember, in the spring, the National Series race in combination with the West Series race, it was 150 laps, and they allowed them to have 4 tires at that break. So not only 2 tires, you're going to have to take care of those left side tires because you know they're going to have to go 100 laps.
So that means I think we're going to maybe see drivers take it easy here that first 50 laps and then maybe go racing that second.
I don't see these drivers taking it easy. You're talking about a bunch of teenagers. They're not going to take it easy, not for a second.
Not for a single second. Why don't we go ahead and step away for a quick break? When we come back, we'll take a look at this points championship that we
Driving car number 16, the Napa Auto Care Chevrolet from Lewis, California, Jack Wood.
finishing up with pre-race activities down on pit road here at Phoenix Raceway, just a few moments away from drivers strapping in and cranking the engines for the 12th and final race of the 2024 ARCA Menard Series West season. Charlie Krall alongside Phil Parsons bringing you all of the action. And Phil, not only have we had a tremendous racing season on the racetrack, we have got a tremendous points battle coming into this finale. Just 14 points separating Sean Hingorani and Tyler Wright.
Yeah, and they're going to keep an eye on each other because they're starting right nose to tail. You see there's the 13 of Tyler Wright. You see 2 wins on the season, 9 top 5s. And how about Hingorani driving that 15 car? This is the 5th different team that he's driven for this year. Actually, he's driven for this team before, but 5 different teams this year, and he's had 6 different crew chiefs, yet he's had an outstanding season. 6 of his last 7 starts, he's finished in the top 2, trying to go back-to-back in the West Series for the championship.
Yeah, it's been since Jesse Love a couple of years back that we've had a repeat champion here, and you can't take anything at all away from the season Tyler Wright has had either. Couple of wins, 9 top 5 finishes. I look back to that race at Madera. We had that late race red flag, and he hit the kill switch, and the car didn't come back to life after that red flag, and he lost a lot of ground on the racetrack and in the points battle, but nothing to be ashamed of at all for that Todd Souza and Kelly Souza owned number 13 team.
Yeah, most any other season, it may even be a runaway from him, but Hingorani has been so consistent, so many great finishes, 3 wins on the year, so he's certainly, we're going to have 2 worthy champions, whichever way it goes.
And there is a look at the top 10 in points. Trevor Huddleston eliminated from championship contention last race, but they're just happy to be here. They've had some wildfires in their neck of the woods, and they came dangerously close to losing their house in that wildfire. We'll talk about that as we go on. Jack Woods had a good season, still looking for that first win. And Kyle Keller, another driver that's bounced around between teams. getting ready to put the exclamation point on a top 5 season.
Yeah, great job for Jack Wood here. I'll come out west and run full time. This is where he came from originally, but running a pretty ambitious truck schedule as well. He's had some top 10s in the truck series throughout his career, so he's doing double duty here today. Not only this weekend, but doing double duty today, also running the truck race later on.
This is one of those races, Phil, and the West Series has raced here dating back into the early 1970s, but one of those races that if a West driver can get that day, that perfect day, put himself on the radar, we might be hearing about some of these drivers making the leap. A guy like Cole Raz, who is looking to make that leap into the ARCA Menard Series, what would it mean for a guy to come out of here with an underdog victory today?
Well, with the strength of the field that we've been talking about, plus all the Xfinity owners here, the truck owners here, the Cup owners are here, so this is a very, very big deal to be able to put one away here. I was looking back at the record books, and again, the West Series started racing out here back in the 70s. We've had 10 NASCAR Hall of Famers that have gone to victory lane in the West Series race here at Phoenix. So you have to be pretty darn good to excel here at this racetrack.
Guys like Richard Petty, David Pearson, Neil Bonnet,
Cale
Bobby Allison.
Exactly.
They used to make the trip just to run a standalone West race out here. There's some of the recent winners here at Phoenix Raceway. That guy, William Sawalich, has won twice here in recent years, and that team also gone to victory lane here with Sammy Smith back in 2022.
Tyler Reif won the National Series race here last year, so a lot of very strong competitors.
We're going to take one more quick break. When we come back, drivers will be loaded in, and we will get set to race live here at Phoenix.
The ARCA Menard Series West, along with a drivers' championship, and that's what we are going to be watching today. You see Tyler Wright down there on the grid. Steve Coates from the Motor Racing Network with his notes ready to go. And this race is just a few minutes from getting started. We'll go green just after 11:30 this morning. It'll be a 100-lap, 100-mile race. Not to be outdone, William Sawalich, who is the reigning ARCA Menard Series East champion. He's now a two-time East champion. He will be starting on the pole today in the start he's set here, number 18 Toyota Camry. Connor Zillage will be right behind him. As you see Zillage taking off the cover that surrounds the top part of the car, where the greenhouse is. Front windshield, all that is put on there.
There is a great look at what is a picture-perfect day to go racing here in the Valley of the Sun. And Phil, we just saw the Joe Gibbs Racing team lining up down there on pit road with William Sawalich, and could be a very emotional day for that team.
Yeah, they lost one of their key crew members. Doggy is what they call him, Andy Nelson, just a short time ago. And I was talking to Matt Ross, and he said we're going to dedicate this race to Doggy. He was such an integral part of the team and has been for a long time. And he said nobody on pit road is any more liked than Doggy was, and they miss him tremendously, but they want to certainly honor him here at this race today.
And it'll be good to see Doggy's smiling face on the hood of that race car one more time. There's Jack Wood getting ready to climb into the number 16 Napa Auto Parts Chevrolet for Bill McAnally Racing. Jack finished second at Irwindale, best career finish. Got a good shot at it here today.
Yeah, he does. That was Kevin Bellicourt, his crew chief. Kevin's got a lot of experience in all sorts of the series of NASCAR. Has been a winner in the series. So it's a great opportunity for them to maybe get that first win this year. We saw Jack was fourth in points, and that's probably where he's going to stay. There's enough of a gap in front and behind him, but it would be great to start off the day with a big win for Jack. Again, doing double duty. Kevin Bellicourt will also call the shots for that truck later on today.
Certainly would help him finish 2 for 2 today. Got to
right.
win that first one if you're going to win the next one too. Take a look at the keys to the race today. Phil, how important is it going to be to balance that handling shift throughout the course of the day?
Yeah, well, remember these guys practiced last night. And so managing that balance shift, because it's going to be different today. The racetrack is different at night than it is during the day. So that's certainly one of the keys. And that's where experience comes in. Having that notebook, knowing what this racetrack does from day to night, night to day, whatever the case may be. And then adjusting during that race break. We talk about it. We're going to have one time to adjust in these cars around lap number 50. Make sure that adjustment is the right way, because you're not going to have probably another chance to do that. And then capitalize on restarts. We talk about this. This is one of the most fun parts parts of this racetrack is the restarts, because they will go at least 5 wide, sometimes 7 wide on these restarts with that dog leg. So that's going to be fun to watch as well.
And as much room as you have on the front side of the racetrack, this part of the racetrack on those restarts can be pretty treacherous. Not a lot of room down the back
No,
stretch.
not a lot of room, and there's a wall on the inside. There's no grass or anything on the inside. So we see a lot of trouble. There's that dog leg right there. You can see these guys will go right down next to that inside wall there where the red is on that wall. They will go all the way down there trying to cut that dog leg.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. We'll have to find out and see as we go throughout the course of the day. Closing in on the start for the Desert Diamond Casino West Valley 100 here at Phoenix Raceway, the final event of the 2024 ARCA Menard Series West season. And we should be just about set to send it down trackside for today's pre-race ceremonies.
Please rise as you are able, remove your hats, and veterans render a hand salute as Grand Canyon University ROTC Color Guard presents our nation's colors. Here to offer today's invocation, please welcome from Luke Air Force Base, First Lieutenant Chaplain Daniel Starr.
Heavenly Father, as engines roar and tires race, we ask you now for your enduring grace. Grant safety to each driver, team, and fan. Guide every hand and hold every stand. May these races be fierce yet fair. Let the competition thrill, lifting our spirits and celebrating skill. Let the excitement be shared with sportsmanship and strength. Let the drivers be safe throughout the whole length. For this and much more, we pray without end. In your holy name, we say our amen.
Here to perform God Bless America, please welcome 25-year Phoenix Raceway season ticket holder, 2008 former Arizona music educator, and U.S. Army veteran, Jeff Harris.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Let's hear it for Jeff's performance of God Bless America.
Well, Phil, drivers about ready to hop in, and we've got one more thing to talk about. That owner points battle between Kelly Souza and Tim Huddleston. Kelly, of course, the team owner for the number 13. Tim Huddleston owns Trevor Huddleston's number 50. Not quite as close as the driver points, but stranger things have happened to close that up. But in any case, it has been a fantastic season for Kelly Souza, and that team has gone to victory lane for the first time since 2008. Going to be a pretty nice way to end the season if they can pull this off today.
Yeah, without a doubt, and certainly deserve it too. As you mentioned, they've been around the series a long time, have supported the series a long time, running two cars now, most of the time obviously full time with a 13 for Tyler Reif. And there's Tyler right there getting good luck from his team, and it'd be a great owner champion for the Souzas.
And Michael Munoz, the crew chief of this number 13, I've known Michael a long time. He actually came east with Matt Crafton back in the early 2000s, decided to move back to the West Coast. He's been with the Souzas a long time as well, and congratulations to them regardless of how this ends up today. Been a great season for that 13 team. We're going to step away for one more quick break. When we come back, the drivers will be ready to crank them up and go racing here at Phoenix. Welcome back to Phoenix Raceway. There's a good look at Eric Johnson Jr. in the number 19 for Bill McAnally Racing out of La Center, Washington. Phil, he has had a pretty solid season, and when he takes the green flag today, he will lock up the Bounty Rookie Challenge Rookie of the Year award.
Yeah, and he's on a bit of a heater right now. 3 top 10s in a row, including a 4th place finish at Madera for his best finish of the season. So great season, great start for this young driver, driving for a great team, Bill McAnally. I've known Bill for years and years and years. And what does he have, 11 West Series championships?
I've lost track.
It may be more than that.
I think it is 11.
But
and over 100 wins.
Yeah, over 100 wins. So anytime you can align yourself with a team like that, you're in pretty good company. And Eric has certainly done his job.
And he has transitioned from crew member to driver and now to Rookie of the Year. It can be done, young drivers. You just got to put your time in and make it happen.
I did that too. I was a crew member for my brother for a long time before I got the opportunity to get in the car.
Literally proof it can be done sitting right here in the booth with us. But in any case, a good day for Eric Johnson Jr. And how about that look on the number 25 car for Venerini Motorsports? And, you know, you talk about the Italian-American Motorsports Hall of Fame. These two families should be in it, the Venerinis and the Andrettis.
Yeah, without a doubt. Great opportunity for Marco. He's getting his feet wet a little bit in stock cars, run some races last couple of years, had some solid finishes here in the ARCA Menard Series, the National Series, and it's great to see Rich Mar, florist, on board too, because they're such a friend of racing. I mean, top to bottom, from drivers and crew members and racetracks, and I know, they furnish flowers for weddings for some of the crew members and some of the friends of mine. So great to see Rich Mar on board here, and hoping for Marco to have a great run today.
And been a very busy couple of weeks for Marco Andretti. Of course, his daughter at home with him. Every time I talk to him, I ask him, "You getting some sleep?" And thankfully he is. And I think this is a guy we're going to have to keep a close eye on throughout the course of the day. We made the joke at the top of the show that it's going to be tough to beat William Swalch, and it will be. But Connor Zilic has proven time and time again, if anybody can do it, he can. He's beat him many times on the racetrack.
They go nose to tail anytime they're around. Always so good, so competitive. So it's going to be fun to watch these two for sure.
Let's head down trackside to get the
Phoenix
command.
Raceway. This is a moment you've all been waiting for. Please welcome Desert Diamond Casino West Valley Chief Operations Officer Danielle Chilton.
Drivers, start your engines.
24 engines roaring to life down on the grid. Why don't we go ahead and take a look at that starting lineup? Of course, we have mentioned William Swalch picking up the General Tire Pole Award in qualifying here yesterday. Nearly a quarter of a second quicker than Connor Zilic in qualifying.
That's what, about his 77th pole this year, I think, something like that. Unbelievable record of qualifying, and certainly race wins as well. Unbelievable.
Jack Wood and Tyler Reif back there in row 2. Keep an eye on Sean Hingarani looking to lock up the championship here this afternoon. He will start inside row 3 alongside his teammate Giovanni Ruggiero in the number 20.
Yeah, Brent Cruz, a winner this year on the dirt at DuQuoin in the National Series, along with Caden Honeycutt. Remember, Caden Honeycutt was involved in the West Series Championship, shared that ride with Landon Lewis, and they won that championship, the Owners' Championship for Steve McGowan.
LeVar Scott, the 2024 ARCA Menard Series Rookie of the Year, alongside Cole Raz back there in row 5.
We talked about Eric Johnson Jr., the Rookie of the Year. There's Jake Finch, our Talladega winner, led wire to wire at Talladega in that Venturini car.
He will round out the top 12 starters as we get set to go green. There's a look at the second page. Kyle Keller alongside Marco Andretti there in row 7.
There's Eric Nascimento Jr. back in row number 8, along with Sebastian Arias driving the second Rev Racing car.
Todd Souza looking to lock up that Owners' Championship with wife Kelly. Depending on how Tyler Reif does in the number 13, he will start inside Takuma Koga there in row 9.
And we're just glad to see Trevor Huddleston here. You mentioned what's going on with the wildfires out there near his home, so glad to see him here.
David Smith in the number 05 outside row 10. Alex Malicki, Rip Michaels back there in row 11, and Bobby Hillis Jr. and his teammate Tony Huffman rounding out the 24-car starting lineup here today. And there is a look at Trevor Huddleston's number 50. Phil, that team didn't even arrive here till midway through practice yesterday. And you know, it's been a challenge just to get here, but this team has persevered throughout the course of the year. I wouldn't be surprised to see Trevor race his way up into the top 10.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think he definitely will. Already a winner this year on multiple occasions, and always a great competitor too. Probably going to end up finishing third in points, but a great year for Trevor Huddleston.
And we do want to give a shout out to his father, Tim Huddleston, of course, in that battle for the Owners Championship. Tim, also the longtime promoter at Irwindale Speedway. We finally got the news. We all kind of knew it was coming.
And
but
dreaded.
Yeah.
But
Irwindale Speedway, unfortunately, going to be closing after the 2024 racing season. But they got one final weekend coming up, December 21st. And boy, the work that he has done out there has just been incredible.
Yeah, such a great facility, such a racy facility. One of the first facilities that was purpose-built with progressive banking. I was fortunate enough to go out there for a number of times for the Toyota All-Star Showdown when the East would actually meet the West. And we always had such great time, great races. Really, really sorry to see that great facility go away.
And those nights of destruction that they have out there were just legendary.
Exactly.
Field rolling off of pit road. Give them a couple of laps to get everything up to temperature before we get ready to go racing here today, Phil. And you know, one of the things when we reconfigured this racetrack back in 2018, one of the things that we did was add a lot of banking to the dogleg and that little short chute through the dogleg into turn one. How has that changed the way that these drivers have to enter what is now turns 1 and 2?
Yeah, it's really different because they go so low down through the dogleg on occasion that they have such a bad angle getting in turn number 1. So we see a lot of action with those cars merging. Again, they could be 80 feet apart, and they have to merge when they get down to the racetrack. Although they do run below the racetrack here on occasion, we see that a lot in all the series of NASCAR. Down below, even there's less banking down there, but because the surface goes through such hot summers that it's deteriorated somewhat, and the banking on the bottom of the apron of the racetrack essentially doesn't get a lot of rubber on it. So we're going to see these guys racing all over the racetrack again, but getting in turn 1 can be a challenge when you're merging with the people that are coming off the apron.
I have a hard time merging onto the highway at 70 miles an hour. I can't imagine trying to do it at 120 with 30 other hungry drivers trying to get that position from me on the racetrack. But in any case, the field now lining up behind Chuck Welch in the pace truck. 100 laps the distance. Again, we will have a break at or around lap 50. As Phil told you earlier, we are going to have 2 tires laying in the pits, so drivers will only have 2 tires to work with. And do understand we've got a couple of drivers that will go to the back due to some unapproved adjustments. No surprise, Trevor Huddleston, one of those. They didn't have a lot of time in practice. And it did look like the number 55 of Jake Finch also dropping out of line, and he will have to go to the back prior to the start.
Taking a look at our front row, you see Sawalich. Obviously, we talk about the pole, and Connor Zilich will start second. Remember, Connor Zilich has never been here before, but his first lap on the racetrack in practice. Now, things are different than they used to be. They have simulators and things like that, but his first lap on this racetrack in any kind of vehicle was fast. So that's when you know that he's got some talent. Is when he comes just off the truck, never had been here before, and runs fast. But we've seen his talent on display a lot this year, no matter what, whether it's in an IMSA car, whether it's in a truck, whether it's in an Xfinity car. He won his first ever Xfinity start at Watkins Glen. Just one of the maybe a generational talent in NASCAR.
It's been a real treat having him across the ARCA Menard Series platform here in 2024 as we get the 1 to go. Joe Contreras up in the flag stand today telling these drivers next time by we're going to get set to go racing. Phil, what are these drivers feeling in the pit of their stomach when we get that 1 to go signal?
I think once we crank the engines and the butterflies go away, so now they're just concentrating on get their tires warmed up, getting them cleaned off, because remember, these are the same tires they qualified on, and just try to get a good start, get up through the gears. We have to stay in line till we get to the start finish line, and then all havoc's going to break loose here because they're going to dive to the bottom of the racetrack
immediately after they hit that start finish line. So William Sawalich alongside Connor Zilich up on the front row, Jack Wood in the number 16 inside row number 2 alongside Tyler Reif, one of the drivers in the battle for that championship. Our points leader for the ARCA Menard Series West, looking to go back-to-back, Sean Hingorani back inside row number 3 in the number 15 for Venerini Motorsports. So we are going to have points contenders right up at the front of the field right from the start of the race, but they will have to handle both William Sawalich and Connor Zilich as we get set to go racing for the final time in 2024. through the start zone. Green flag is out, and it is time to rock, roll, and rumble here in Phoenix.
There they go. Off the racetrack.
Did not take them long, and the battle is on already for the lead down into turn 1.
Zilich is hanging tough on the outside of Sawalich.
Side by side into 3. Who's it going to be for lap number 1? Looks like the inside groove might have been the way to be into turn 3, but who's it going to be off of 4? Zilich by just 71 thousandths of a second. Wow.
Yeah, Sawalich is not so fast. See, Sawalich was a little bit loose. We saw him wiggling down in 3 and 4, and Zilich now has the lead.
How hard do you want to abuse those right side tires this early in the race, Phil? We saw him get loose a couple of times that first lap and a half. Is that going to
We're not worried about the right sides. We're worried about the left sides. We don't want to spin those left side tires again. We're going to have to run 100 laps on them as we see a good battle with Gio Ruggiero. That's the white car that went way down off the racetrack trying to get by Tyler Reif and mace the pass.
Gio Ruggiero in the number 20. He picked up a win in the ARCA Menards East at Five Flags Speedway to start the season. As we check in on our Bonnie Rookie Spotlight driver, Eric Johnson Jr. just bounced it off the fence down there.
Yeah, we're hearing that he
one.
actually got into the outside wall here. Let's see if he can stay up to pace. There's Todd Souza, the 3, trying to make his way by. Let's see if we can take another look. You see he's out 3 wide, just a little bit too wide, makes some pretty good contact. But again, these are composite bodies, and they have memory. You hit something to push it in, it pushes it back out. You don't have a lot of metal around the tires to cut tires down. So if it doesn't knock the toe out, in other words, the alignment of the front tires, you should be okay.
There's Jake Finch in the number 55 making his way back up towards the front of the field. Jake did have to drop to the tail end on the start, and he has already worked his way past Todd Souza, and now trying to track down Sebastian Arias as well, and he dives all the way to the bottom of the racetrack trying to make up some ground there.
Yeah, this is a battle for the 14th spot. Jake has made a nice move from the initial start up into the top 15.
Still side by side for the 14th position. Jake in the number 55, one of 5 cars out of the Venerini Motorsports stables, and Phil, you said it earlier, led every lap at Talladega Superspeedway, and I don't have those the complete statistics of every race in front of me, but I can't imagine that that's happened too many times in Talladega Superspeedway history where one driver has led every lap. Just an dominant performance by Jake.
And remember, was leading the race at Daytona on the very last lap and got involved in an accident with his teammate.
And he is
right at the end.
Yep, going to work his way past Sebastian Arias there. Sebastian in the number 2 for Rev Racing. Of course, that is the team that Andres Perez was with as he went to the ARCA Menards Series National Championship earlier this season. So,
and Andres is out here this weekend. Will run the truck race later on today. So, be his second opportunity to get in the truck. Had a top 10 in his debut in the truck at Gateway earlier this year.
Checking in on Connor Zilich, and as we are checking in, he is checking out. He is driving away from William Sawalich now 1.1 seconds as we do see the caution flag for the first time today.
A good opportunity for these drivers to catch their breath here a little bit and relay some information to their crew chiefs on what their car is doing. We run enough laps now that the tire pressures are coming up, so these drivers have an idea which direction their car is going to go, and they will be communicating that to their crew chief to maybe make some plans for that mid-race break.
There is the reason for the caution. The number 71, Rip Michaels, looks like he's been sideways, Phil. I see the roof flap, the fabric sticking out of the roof flap there on the back, and it does look like he's got a flat left rear tire. So Rip Michaels bringing that car down onto pit road. Rip actually driving this number 71 in substitution for Nick Janitis. Nick has had some health issues here in the last couple of months, but is on the rebound. Good to see that, Nick. I hope you're doing well, as your car unfortunately not having the best start to its day out here, as there is a look at that flat left rear.
Yeah, I think Rip is doing a nice job of driving that car slow enough. If he tries to get too much speed, and I know you would want to get there to the pits that quick that it could just rip that quarter panel off with a flailing rubber.
Take a look at what happened. He's way up out of the groove. Looks like that flat left rear tire happened before he was even near the entry to the corner.
Yeah, I think he realized it at the last second. He does a nice job keeping out of the wall here. So they're going to jack it up under the center of the rear end so they can get a jack under the side. He's going to have to tighten the handle on that jack, though, before he can jack it up. Actually, I think they need another jack.
Yeah, it's maybe just working just a little bit.
It may be coming up now, but that's the kind of floor jack that we used to use at my dad's gas station back in the day.
Well, we are giving shout outs. I also want to give a shout out to Tony Glover, one of the lead tech officials for the ARCA Menard Series East and West. Tony took a bit of a tumble the other day and banged up his leg a little bit, and he is back home in the Charlotte area recovering as we see a driver change. And I believe that's going to be Joey East going in for David Smith in the 05.
Yeah, Joey East practiced that car. Joey East has a lot of experience, a really competitive driver, and I think David Smith says, hey, maybe you can do a better job here. Let's put you in it and see what we can do.
Maybe learn some things, maybe figure out a way to improve that team a little bit and its performance here throughout the final, 92 laps of this one. We're going to step away for a quick break. When we come back, we'll get set to go back green flag racing here at Phoenix Raceway. Final race of the ARCA Menard Series West season for 2024 here at Phoenix Raceway, the Desert Diamond Casino West Valley 100. Charlie Krall bringing you all the action alongside Phil Parsons as we work the first caution flag of the day. Rip Michaels in the number 71 getting turned sideways to put us under the first caution. And we did see that driver change in the 05. Joey East climbing in for David Smith. Joey, a former West winner up at Colorado National Speedway a couple of years back. Should be able to give that team some pretty good feedback here the final 90 laps or so of this race.
Yeah, it cost them one lap to make that change. We saw when we came back from commercial that he came out of the pits right in front of our pack. So he is now the only car that's one lap down. If we were to get another caution before somebody else gets lapped, then he would definitely be the free pass. So be interesting to see if hopefully he can stay in that free pass position, catch a caution, get the free pass, and get back on the lead lap.
There's a good look at Brent Cruz in the number 22. Again, one of the 5 Venerini Motorsports cars. And, you know, Brent has had a pretty solid season, whether it's in the ARCA Menard Series, the Cars Tour, you name it. He has found a way to get to victory lane. Of course, he's 2 ARCA Menard Series wins to his credit, one each at the Springfield Mile and the DuQuoin State Fairgrounds in back-to-back years. And, you know, I keep hoping we're going to get a chance to see him on a much more regular basis in this platform because he just does an incredible job every time he's in one of these cars.
Yeah, and he's still only 16 years old. As you mentioned, he has 3 wins this year in the Cars Tour, and he was the youngest Trans MTA2 winner ever and champion ever. So he certainly has the credentials. Again, he's not going to turn 17, I don't think, till next March or April. So he would not be able to run the full schedule. You have to be 18 to run the super speedways in the ARCA Menard Series. But again, hopefully we will see. And I hear some rumblings that we will see more of him next year.
So Chuck Welch bringing the pace car back down onto pit road. Let's see what William Sawalich can do here for this restart. And surprisingly, maybe not surprisingly, Connor Zilich electing the outside lane. He made it work on that initial start. We'll see if he can make it work again on this restart.
That's exactly right. And a lot of times, you know, you'll see a trend that the outside line will prevail on the restarts, and then it'll switch. For some reason, the inside will do it. So that's another thing that you have to keep up with, of which lane seems to have the advantage on the restarts.
Connor Zilich on the hammer out of turn 4. Let's watch him as they fan out through the dog leg.
I love that. At least 5 wide.
Sawallich's going to try to stick it to the bottom lane here on this restart. Can he make it stick off at 2?
See that 20 car, Ruggiero, right behind this. The front 2 jumped up to 3rd on this restart. There's Jack Wood, the Napa car, the 16 behind Caden Honeycutt in that 23.
And of course, Caden Honeycutt, as you said, was a 2-time winner in the West Series last year, helped propel the Bruce Cook, Steve McGowan team to the Owners Championship. He's driving the number 23 for Joe Ferre. That team went to victory lane earlier this season with Sam Mayer at the wheel at Sonoma Raceway. So that is a very potent combination.
Yes, it is. And here's Sawalich, is right on the back bumper of Zilich. Zilich had opened up over a second lead when that caution came out, but Sawalich is right there.
2 very different lines through the dogleg that time, and it kind of evens out sometimes, doesn't it, Phil? The driver all the way to the bottom side and the driver to the top, and they don't give any ground to either one. Very interesting how that works out, but now looks like Zilich going to start to inch away a little bit.
Yeah, you would think if you went way down to the inside, it's such a shorter way to go that you would really gain huge amounts, but it doesn't always seem that way, as we got a good look at there's Marco in the 25 and Kyle Keller in the 9 battling for position.
Kyle Keller has bounced around between rides here the last few races, but still trying to lock up a top 5 in the ARCA Menard Series West final standings and going to battle against Marco Andretti. We saw one car way sideways there off at turn 2. Like that might have been Sebastian Arias in the number 2, and I will be surprised, Phil, if he didn't catch the wall a little bit with that right rear corner.
It looked awfully close as you saw Trevor Huddleston get by. Trevor now would move him up to the 15th position. Remember, starting at the back with hardly any practice here.
Huddleston closing in on Eric Johnson Jr. now in the number 19.
Remember, we saw Eric get into the outside wall earlier, didn't even feel like he needed to come to pit road, so obviously that car okay. But here comes Huddleston.
Let's take another look at that moment we just caught out of the corner of our eye. Keep an eye on that orange car drifting towards the top side of the racetrack. Ooh, so close.
I think he definitely made a little bit of contact, but incidental contact. And then that was Eric Johnson that took evasive measures to move around the inside, as we see a good battle. Jake Finch, remember, started at the back in that Phoenix Construction Toyota, now gets by his teammate Marco Andretti, put Jake up to the 12th spot.
Saw Jake last weekend at the All-American 400 weekend out at Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. Actually had Jeff Purvis with them as well. Jeff, of course, a multiple-time winner in the ARCA Menard Series for Jake's father, James Finch. Good to see those guys back at the racetrack, and looks like that 55 car handling very well. He is driven away from Marco, his teammate, out of the Venturini Motorsports stables, as there's Kyle Keller going at it with LeVar Scott. First time we've seen LeVar on screen in that number 6.
Yeah, such a great year in the ARCA Menards National Series for LeVar Scott this year. 2nd points. The only person that stayed close to his teammate the entire season.
And although he came out on just the short end of the stick by just the slightest of margins, did factor into what is perhaps the most exciting finish we have seen in a long time. That 3-wide finish at Elko Speedway, unbelievable.
Literally, the guy that finished 3rd was about 1/10 of a second or even less.
Unbelievable. There is Sean Hingorani in the number 15, the ARCA Menard Series West points leader, coming into the action today. And he is trying to pick off Jack Wood. This is the battle for 3rd.
Remember, all he has to do is finish 9th. No matter what happens, no matter what Tyler Reif is able to do, if he can finish 9th, he will be a back-to-back champion. Long way to go, though.
Working lap 22 right now as we see this battle for 3rd. Actually, yeah, this is the battle for 3rd. Actually, I believe that's the battle for 4th.
Well, Honeycutt right now is in the 5th spot. This is actually the battle for 6th.
Battle for 6th.
Yeah, Jack Wood has 6th. Sean Hingorani has 7th, trying to grab that 6th spot from Jack Wood.
The scoring monitor and the ticker do not match up, so that's what threw me, but we'll get that handled here momentarily. This is the battle for 6th between Sean Hingorani and Jack Wood. Cole Raz, who also picked up a win earlier in the season, hanging on, trying to make it a three-way battle for position in that number 76 car.
Yeah, this is one of my first times seeing Cole Raz, and he's been very impressive, as you mentioned, already been to victory lane this year, and that's a great team he's with. The team we've seen Christian Rose run full-time for a couple times and then a couple years in the National Series, so it'll be fun to see him get his feet wet in the National Series as well.
AM Racing that did field Christian Rose and what was then the number 32. Kevin Sawinski still heavily involved in this team. Ryan Pickle London, the crew chief for the number 76 team, and Cole looking for his second win of the season. He also won by the narrowest of margins in a photo finish over Trevor Huddleston at Kevin Harvick's current Raceway early in the season, and there Phil was using that dog leg to your advantage right there for Sean Hingorani.
Yeah, Hingorani had a great run up off the corner, got underneath Jack, and was able to use that apron, shorten that up a little bit. There's Jack though trying to fight back with Cole Raz at 76 right on his rear bumper. Cole Raz is trying to do the exact same thing that Hingorani did the last lap. Wasn't quite close enough, didn't quite have the momentum that Sean had.
So Phil, one of the keys to the race today was managing the change in that balance that these race cars are going to be going throughout the course of these two 50-lap segments of the race. And it looks like some of these race cars haven't really had a big swing, but that 16 car looks like it might have had a big change to its handling characteristics here the first 25 laps of this race.
Yeah, Jack was holding on to the third spot, lost that spot on that last restart, and now he's lost a couple other positions. But again, they'll get an opportunity here in about 23 or 4 laps to make some adjustments. I know that team has a lot of experience for Bill McAnally as we check back in with our leader now. That's opened up almost a 3-second lead. Connor Zilich is driving away.
And this was such an amazing story as we think of all of the times we have seen Connor Zilich finish second in his first ARCA Menard Series race to Jesse Love up at Watkins Glen. And of course there was some rain on the final lap and a little contact. And you know, every race he started for the next 5 races in this platform he won. Just an incredible performance. And if not for just a wrong place, wrong time situation at Bristol, likely he would have been the East champion. And you know, he's won in the IMSA sports cars. He's won here in the ARCA Menard Series. I think if you put him in a sprint car,
series,
yeah, he's won his
series.
Xfinity debut. I think if you put him in a sprint car, he'd probably win on dirt in a wing sprint car too.
No doubt. I'm not sure there's anything that he's unable to do. And remember, he just turned 18 back maybe July, so he wasn't able to run all the races. Again, like we were talking about with Brent Cruz, you have to be 18 to run the super speedways. But once he got on a super speedway, his first ever intermediate super speedway start was at Michigan, and he goes to victory lane there. And you mentioned that race at Bristol. Again, he had a pretty big lead over Sawalich in the E-Series championship. That was a combination race with the National Series. He was leading the race, got caught up when a lap car had a problem. Unfortunately, lost that championship, but certainly everybody knows he's there when he shows up.
Absolutely, and I think we're going to know he's there for a long time coming as he continues to stretch out that advantage. Just while we were talking, he has added over a quarter of a second to his advantage over William Sawalich in second. Again, this now the battle between Jack Wood and Cole Raz, the battle for 7th and 8th behind Sean Hingorani in the number 15. Sean in the 6th position.
Sean's doing exactly what he needs to do. Again, 9th no matter what Tyler Reif does, so he just needs to keep that car clean. He's got a nice little bubble. Right now he has Jack behind him a couple car lengths, and then he's got a bit of a gap up to Honeycutt, who right now runs in the 5th spot.
Phil, it's difficult to win a championship when there are no variables, drivers bouncing between teams and crew chiefs and you name it. It's hard when everything is perfect. Sean has bounced between 4 different teams, 6 different crew chiefs. That has to be incredibly difficult for a young man who's just barely 17 years old.
Yeah, it's been amazing what he's been able to do. We saw him win a lot of races last year, and it's the first time we really ever got a look at him. And then he came right back and started out the season with, at this racetrack, as you see Cole Raz making that same move that Hingorani did to get by Jack Wood coming off for turn number 4. But what he's been able to do and the consistency that he's shown as a driver, even amid the changes, has been pretty impressive.
Cole Raz making that move on Jack Wood, so Jack will drop back into the 8th position in the number 16 car, and you have to believe he is just waiting to get to that lap 50 mark so Kevin Bellecourt can take a big swing at an adjustment.
Yeah, we're just 16 laps away now from that mid-race break. Be a great opportunity for these teams to make some adjustments. There's a battle for 4th. You see Caden Honeycutt running a little bit different line than the 22 car Brent Cruz. Remember, Caden Honeycutt has done an outstanding job this year in the Truck Series. A bunch of great top 5, top 10 finishes, enough so that Al Neese said, hey, you're going to run full time next year. So it's great to see that opportunity for Caden Honeycutt, but having a good run here too.
So one thing I noticed, Phil, and your eyes are much more attuned to these types of things than mine are, but if you look at the valence on the 22 car, it looks like it's sealed pretty closely to the racetrack. It looks like there may be just a little bit of damage to the nose of the 23. Could that be from being a little aggressive hitting that apron through the dog leg? And if it is, how is that going to affect the handling of that 23 car?
Yeah, quite possible. You see under the left front headlight, you see a little bit of black there, but I don't think it's not all the way across, so I'm not sure how much that will be, but there's no doubt it probably is from running across the racetrack, because the transition off and back onto the racetrack is pretty severe. Actually, almost now it looks more like that it's almost just sandblasted off of there. I think the material is still there. Again, probably still hitting the racetrack, and there's probably vinyl on that nose piece, that valence, and that's probably what we're seeing. So I think he's probably in better shape than we initially thought.
This is why I say your eyes are much more attuned to these things than mine are. In any case, a good battle for 4th and 5th on the racetrack between a couple of young drivers. Brent Cruz in the 22, Caden Honeycutt in the 23. There's Joey East in that 05 car, and I'll tell you, Joey been able to keep some pretty good pace in that 05, despite the fact that he is a lap, or about a lap behind, 2 laps behind the battle for the lead there.
Yeah, he's lost one more lap after he came back on the racetrack after the restart, so he's no longer in the free pass position. So it will be an uphill battle for Joey East. But a great battle here continues with Honeycutt trying to do something with Brent Cruz. And I love the fact that Caden Honeycutt said, I'm not just going to follow you, I'm going to make my own line here.
And he's been a little unpredictable with that line too. He has forced Brent maybe to drive out of the rearview mirror a little bit here the last couple of laps.
See, Honeycutt definitely running a higher line. That's the thing I love about this racetrack. And you see Brent Cruz running right next to the yellow line. Well, we see cars below that yellow line making good time too. So you literally can run all over this racetrack.
Not just through the dog leg, but particularly through turns 1 and 2. You can work way below the yellow line and still find grip and go towards the front. This battle for 4th and 5th continuing between Brent Cruz and Caden Honeycutt. As you know, we try to find you the best battles on the racetrack, and here's a good battle, although it's not a battle for position. There is Connor Zilich to the inside of Trevor Huddleston. Huddleston, of course, trying to pull the rabbit out of the hat in the battle for that owner's championship, but unfortunately for him, he's going to go 1 lap down to our leader.
Yeah, Connor Zilich, you know, we talk about Shane Huffman, the architect of this team. This team is not very old. Mark and Jerry Webb own this team. They formed this team. Well, I was talking to Shane today, and he said Stephen Dawson is actually going to transition to crew chief. So he is actually the crew chief here as we see this great battle again for the 4th position. But Stephen Dawson now is the crew chief, and Shane is going to morph into more of a general manager role for that team. He's still going to have his hands on. He's still going to be there, but Stephen Dawson is the guy calling the shots.
And those guys have been hungry for victory lane all season. And you would think, you know, you go to victory lane 5 or 6 times and that kind of satisfies that appetite. This is the exact opposite for Shane Huffman and those guys. Every time they win a race, they're even hungrier to go back to victory lane, as now Caden Honeycutt really putting some pressure on Brent Cruz down the backstretch.
Yeah, Honeycutt is in the move right now. He's going to be able to use that car for a pick, possibly. If there's enough room, he does make the pass, move Caden Honeycutt now up to the 4th spot.
So Caden Honeycutt up to 4th, Brent Cruz back to 5th as we continue to wind our way towards the lap 50 mark, where we will take a 5-minute break to allow these teams to make adjustments, change right side tires. And you know, as you're sitting on the pit box as a crew chief and you've been taking notes, some of these race cars, some of these drivers looking forward to a pretty big swing. on an adjustment.
Good battle for position right here. You see Cole Raz getting by Hingorani. That's for the 6th position. Cole Raz on the move now.
Cole Raz coming to life in that 76 car as we approach that midway break. And Sean Hingorani now back to 7th, but again, Phil, right where he needs to be. Let's take a look at the 22 of Brent Cruz, again off of turn 2. Don't think he caught the wall there, Phil, but he sure did miss a good opportunity to do so. That car way sideways on Brent Cruz.
Well, you talked about him winning a couple dirt races in the National Series, so being sideways is certainly nothing new for Brent Cruz.
Nothing new for him at all. Don't want to do that too much here on these paved surfaces, though, but in any case, Brent Cruz holding on to 5th. As Connor Zilic about to put Marco Andretti a lap down. Marco back in the 13th position. So Zilic continuing to set him up and knock him down as we approach the midway point here at Phoenix.
Looks like there's a gap, though.
I was going to say, you almost caught the distance between leader Connor Zilic and William Sawalich, and it has re-extended itself to 3.1 seconds on the racetrack.
It was just 2 seconds a while ago because of the traffic that Connor Zilic had to put up. But the problem with that is William Sawalich has to go through that same traffic. So the second he gained in traffic, he lost right back in traffic.
And there's a good look at William Sawalich in that number 18. Of course, Connor Zilic's bad luck at Bristol was William Sawalich's good luck. He did lock up the ARCA Menards East Championship for the 2nd consecutive year, and a little bit different look on that number 18 car. We talked about the tribute to Andy Nelson, and that is what you see on the hood. There's Doggy's picture. Andy Nelson lost his life a couple of weeks back, and the team decided to honor him with his face on the hood of that race car, and we saw that team lining up down on pit road to take a picture with that race car, and there's a good look at the hood.
Yeah, he certainly will be missed. I was talking to Matt today about it, and I mean, it was pretty emotional for him knowing that they're going to be missing Doggy.
This is their first race on the racetrack since Andy passed away a couple of weeks back, and William doing a great job hanging in that 2nd position right now. And Phil, he is going to have a very busy weekend out here in Phoenix.
Yeah, not only we talk about a lot of drivers doing double duty, well, he's doing triple duty. He will run the truck race later on this evening, and then also the Xfinity race tomorrow as well. So that's the best thing on earth for an 18-year-old to get laps, and he's getting a lot of them.
We'll get a lot of them out here this weekend, that's for sure. Here is that battle between Caden Honeycutt and Brent Cruz, and now we're going to add Cole Raz to that mix. That 76 car, Phil, has really come to life here the last handful of laps.
Yeah, Cole Raz is definitely on the move. There's our caution for the mid-race break. Good news for Marco Andretti. He is the first car 1 lap down, so he will get the free pass. That will give us 13 cars on the lead lap when we restart, but we're going to have some time for these crew chiefs to make some fairly significant changes you can make in 5 minutes.
So Connor Zilic showing the way. Will lead the field down onto pit road. William Sawalich, Gio Ruggiero, Caden Honeycutt, and Brent Cruz rounding out the top 5 here as we are now under caution for the 2nd time here this afternoon. We're going to step away. When we come back, we'll recap all the action going down on pit road here in the Desert Diamond Casino, West Valley 100.